It's not even funny, bro.
He's from F665.
Seriously, not even funny.
It's Issue number one is an employee of Marvel Comics. In the 1967 satirical series No Brand David showed up in the premiere issue as Fullbrush Man, who became the mascot of the series as a wannabe hero that had no real purpose except for Fullbrush vision, which is the ability to project a hell of the victim's own choosing onto themselves. On that game later on in his journey, his costume consists of a red outfit that has an F on it and a part on his head, which was inspired by his aunt Mayhem, who slammed it onto his head in a fit of rage. No idea if this goes due to make an MCU appearance. Communist Red Skull. There have been a few who have taken the Red Skull identity since World War II, but the one that often goes overlooked is Albert Malik. He debuted back in 1953 in Young Men issue 24, which is honestly the worst title I've ever heard for a comic. But he was a Soviet spy that went undercover as a Red Skull to try and steal Hitler's plans for a weapon that the Soviets wanted for the Cold War. So despite being the poster child of National Socialism, I have to say that instead of I think we're pretty much guaranteed to break some of the monetization rules, despite working on this video for months already, so by some age. But despite his appearance, he was actually a communist. However, Albert did die back in the 80s, and unlike nearly every other character, he hasn't been revived. Thor can walk time. It's one of the lesser used functions of Mjolnir, but it has the ability of chronokinesis, which means it's an object that can travel through time. This is done when Thor spins it faster than the speed of light, causing the fourth dimension to be opened. And it sounds like a really useful ability that was used more during his journey into Mystery Days, but doesn't get seen as much now. Namor was the first flying superhero. Yep, out of any of the big comic publishers, Namor the Submariner was the first ever hero to showcase the ability to fly during his second ever appearance in 1989. This is despite the fact that Superman debuted the year earlier, as his flight ability was added in later. Firestar's debut, Firestar, a character that I already feel doesn't have a big enough popularity to begin with, has made a mark over the years fighting alongside teams such as New Mutants, X-Men, and Avengers. The first canonical comic appearance was in May 1985 in the pages of Uncanny X-Men issue 193, but her actual debut was in the 80s cartoon Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and she was created because the writers originally wanted the Human Torch, but couldn't because of an issue with the rights. How many times have we heard that one now? Elf with a gun. This is the genius alias of Elf who, and this might be hard to believe, but he's an elf with a gun. Apologies to anybody wanting a violent version of he didn't do anything in 1975 in the 25th issue of the Defenders, and was run over by a truck in the 46th issue of the Defenders in 1977. He's the ranks of Uncle Ben and Captain Marvel were some of the only characters whose death was made permanent. There's a Marvel character called Iceberg. It also seems like there's two versions of this character. The one in the comics pretty much seems like the reverse of the Human Torch. His real name was Jack Pierce, and he was part of Fantastics. He debuted in the Avengers Initiative Annual from December 2007, and he's only appeared in a handful of issues. And there's also a New York crime lord named Iceberg who appeared in the 90s animated series and worked for Kingpin. Oblivion. This is a cosmic entity and one of the overarching antagonists in the Marvel Universe, who is often erroneously seen as an aspect of Lady Death. Although unlike her, he embodies non-existence rather than mortality, and is dedicated to destroying all that exists. And yet, I copied that from Wikipedia. He first appeared in issue 1 of Iceman from 1984, and has also appeared in Quasar, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Thor. Combo Man. This was a character created by Mark Grunwald and Hector Collazo, who debuted for a single issue in January of 1996 in his own self-titled series. And if you know, some heroes had dumb origins and struck himself in, because Rick Walton got his powers when he was caught up in an explosion that was caused by Ape in his school laboratory. Because he was carrying a variety of Marvel comics and combos-based stats, which, if you're in the UK, they definitely are real because I checked. He has the powers and abilities of a variety of Marvel heroes, but also has other weaknesses. His resemblance is a hodgepodge of those characters, and he can also only access his abilities through eating combo-based snacks, which I imagine just isn't good for you. The character and one-shot special was created as part of a partnership between Marvel and Eagle Snacks, and I can't lie, it got me interested in them, so job well done. Okay, we're getting into tier 3 now, and this is just about the Walton, and I thought I'd fill this one with different comic storylines from throughout the years. There is a kind of order system, so that I've tried to rank the most popular ones at the beginning, and then later we get into this tier that will be a few more obscure ones. Secret Invasion, another event, this one back in 2008, that saw the Skrulls invade the Marvel Universe. It was written by Brian Michael Bendis and illustrated by Lino Francis Yu, and it ran for 8 issues between June 2008 and January 2009. And I'm going to do another cheeky plug because I reviewed it last year as part of a season of events. It's also the title of an upcoming Disney Plus series as part of the MCU, which does take inspiration from the Skrulls, but I don't think it's going to be on as wide of a scale as the comic. Clone Saga. Now this is mostly referencing one of Spider-Man's most controversial and despised storylines, which ran between 1994 and 1996. But the first clone of Spider-Man debuted in the 70s. That clone went under the name Ben Riley, who reappeared during the 90s events, which was a decision made by Marvel as they wanted a character-focused big storyline that could rival titles such as The Death of Superman or Batman Nightfall. Initially, it wasn't supposed to go on for as long as it did. It was meant to end with The Amazing Spider-Man issue 400, but when sales increased, writers were told to keep it going and more titles were thrown into the mix. Despite the backlash at the time, it has since seemed to endure and cultivate some nostalgia, with the Ultimate Universe doing their take on the storyline. So, one more Hulk, another event and one that addresses the issue of Hulk being off planet for Civil War. It took place over 5 issues between May and November 2007 and spawned countless tie-in series, and only about 3 of which were worth reading. After being shot into space by the Illuminati and the incredible planet Hulk, which I definitely recommend reading, Hulk attempts on the warpath and will take on anyone in his way. It's pretty fun and written by Greg Pak, who has a vast amount of experience with the Hulk, and has John Romita Jr. Knife placed on the arms. One More Day. This is one of the most hated Spider-Man stories, and the full conclusion of J. Michael Straczynski's run. There was a ton of interference from editor and fellow Spider-Man writer Joe Quesada, who wanted to dissolve the merger between MJ so that the character could return to his roots. To do that, on May is shot, and to try and save him, Peter makes a deal with Mephisto to save a life. But it's in exchange for his marriage. Despite Aunt May being about 2,000 years old, it takes a deal, and their marriage is erased from history. Some elements of the story were adapted into Spider-Man No Way Home, but even today the storyline is a point of contention for Spider-Man fans. But for being honest, most Spider-Man fans really seem to hate Spider-Man. King in Black, a 5-issue event that ran from December 2020 to April 2021. It was also the climax to Donny Cates' run on Venom, which I recently reviewed, so you might want to check that out. And this event saw the Marvel Universe fend off a symbiote invasion led by Cole, and yeah, still don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Infinity Trilogy. These were 3 intergalactic events that took place across the Marvel Universe in the 90s. It started with the Infinity Gauntlet in 1991, was followed by Infinity War in 1992, and concluded with the Infinity Crusade in 1993, with each subsequent entry increasing the number of tie-ins and decreasing the level of quality. However, it's still one of the biggest series of events in the company's history, and many elements were borrowed from the MCU. X-Men events. In the same way that we spoke about certain Spider-Man-centric events, the mutant side of the Marvel Universe has had plenty over the years, including ones such as Fall of the Mutants, Inferno, Age of Apocalypse, Mutant Massacre, and countless others. These often primarily involve the Uncanny X-Men title, but also include the other X-Men members such as the New Mutants, X-Factor, sometimes you get Excalibur, and a few others. The Grease Roll. Okay, so we touched on this during the Illuminati bit, but this was one of the first big, impactful multi-issue storylines for the Avengers, which took place between issues 89 to 97, between June 1972 and March 1972. It was written by Roy Thomas and illustrated by Neil Adams and Louis Seamus. It told the story of an intergalactic war between the Kree and Skrull races, with the Avengers getting caught up in the middle. And it's still remembered today as one of the greatest and most important storylines for Marvel Comics in the 1970s. Demon in a Bottle, probably the most iconic Iron Man storyline of all time, and it was probably adapted into 2010's Iron Man 2, which featured Tony Stark's battle with alcoholism in the wake of a variety of different scandals and conflicts. It was written by David Michelinie and Bob Layton, and took place between issues 120 and 128. And my favourite scene is where Stark is so drunk that he forgets to open a window before flying through it. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, a one-shot that was published in August of 2012 that was written by Colin Ward and illustrated by Dalcor Tolaji. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. It's not set within the main continuity, and as its title suggests, Deadpool goes about killing the Marvel Universe. It's entertaining and dumb at the same time, so I recommend it. Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. This is pretty much the same setup as what I said for Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, but this one was written by Garth Ennis and illustrated by Doug Braithwaite, published in November of 1995. It's a different take on the Punisher because instead of the origin story that we all know and love, Castle's family are killed when they're caught in the middle of a battle between the Marvel superheroes. This sends Frank on a revenge mission which sees him, as the title might suggest, to kill the entire Marvel universe. It's a fun read and included within the Marvel Knights omnibus, so I definitely recommend checking this out. Captain America Hail Hydra. There is a comic series under this name which was released in 2011, but let's be honest, this entry is probably talking about the Nick Spencer run. The word was sent into a frenzy in May 2016 when Steve Rogers' Captain America issue 1 was released. All we go to that final page. Hail Hydra, the internet blew up, which honestly was a nice distraction from all the regular political talk that was going on back in 2016. Idiots sent death threats to Nick Spencer, and it just knew that this was going to be part of some bigger story further down the line. It's comics after all. However, this storyline did carry on for a while with the emergence of Hydra Cap, which led all the way up to Secret Empire, which was another universe-spanning event with Captain America at the centre. Marvel swimsuit specials. This was Marvel's annual parody of Sports Illustrated that ran between 1991 and 1995. It featured pin-ups of the most famous Marvel characters, sporting some really over-the-top looks. It had some huge names working on this, including Mark Silvestri, Adam Hughes, and Jim Lee. It garnered both praise and criticism, and it's still being dissected today. And like most things that are made for enjoyment these days, feminists complain about it whilst ignoring the fact that both male and female characters were featured. Although, I'm going to look for a few of these issues. And did I just skip over the Professor X pages or Marvel 1602? This is an 8-issue limited series that started in November 2003. It was written by Neil Gaiman and illustrated by Andy Kubert. It reimagined some of the major Marvel characters as they were to exist within the Elizabethan era. Those were powers are declared to be witch-breed, and the heroes that haven't been burned at the stake have to rally together to prevent the destruction of the world. The first issue was a high-selling comic for that month, and it received consistently high praise for the entire run, despite being labelled as an extended fifth. Original Sin, yet another event, this one from 2014, and it ran for 9 issues. It was written by Jason Aaron and illustrated by Mike D'Annunzio, and gimmicky characters within the Marvel Universe being confronted with a secret from the past, following the death of the Watcher. There were only a few of actual consequence, such as Captain America realising that the Illuminati had worked his mind, Hulk learning that Stark had tampered with the Gamma Bomb from his origins, and Stark learning that doing that whilst drunk actually prevented Bruce from dying. Other characters had lesser revelations, like J. Jonah Jameson remembering that he fired someone over discovering an article that he'd written when he praised Spider-Man as a wrestler, and Lockjaw remembering the location of a big bone that he buried. You don't really see many people listing this as a real Marvel event, but the gimmick was fun whilst it lasted. Nick Fury's Secret War. This is not often forgotten. Early 2000s Bendis event that took place across 5 issues between April 2004 and December 2005. The art was done by Gabriel Dell'Otto and sees Nick Fury assemble a covert team with Captain America, Spider-Man, Wolverine, Daredevil, and a few others as he tried to infiltrate and overthrow Latveria without causing an international incident. The series was met with so many delays that House of M, which is another event that was written by Bendis, was published a year after Secret War began, and it ended before the 5th issue was released. It is credited as the first major event of this era, so it deserves a place on the list. No More Mutants. This is the famous line spoken by Scarlet Witch during the climax of House of M, an 8-issue event that was published in 2005. Having altered reality to envision a world where Magneto rules, or having realised that this didn't solve the problem that they originally had, she takes the extreme action of wiping out all but a fraction of the mutant population. This event is phenomenal, so check it out for yourself. But the phrase No More Mutants would set the trajectory for the X-Men books from that point on, and the line has taken on a life of its own in the years since. The mystery of the Red Hulk. In 2008, to kick off Jeff Loeb's run of the month, he started a mystery that was both hotly debated and wasn't quite obvious in hindsight. And I can't lie, I really enjoyed this run. It's such dumb fun. It's just watching the Red Hulk pretty much destroy everyone in the Marvel universe. So if you're looking for something that's not trying to make it question your own existence, then this one's definitely for you. But the reveal was held back for 2 years until issue 22, when Thunderbolt Ross was shown to be the Red Hulk. Although, yeah, it is kind of common knowledge now, with the character having appeared with the Thunderbolts and the Avengers. For those 2 or so years, it was just for being a part of those message boards. Amazing Spider-Man issue 96. In 1970, when this issue was first released, it was unheard of for a big title to go against the comics output marketing, which was a form of regulation and something like a seal of approval to parents who wanted to buy a book for their kid. However, President Nixon's administration asked Stanley to make a story with an anti-drugs message. Although PSAs on similar topics had been published in the past, he didn't want to make it a story that lectured fans, and instead wanted to find a way to craft it into the story. Due to this, the comics don't come to approve the book, which was seen as a death sentence back then, but Marvel went ahead with publishing it anyway. It was the first time something like this had happened, but the book shocked everybody, and instead exceeded sales expectations, which caused the Comics Code to revise their rules and also allow other titles to risk losing their approval in favour of darker storytelling. The Interdimensional Council reads, first revealed in Fantastic Four issue 517 that was written by Jonathan Hickman in 2009. Reed Richards of Earth 616 looked at the Reed Richards of all other realities came together to to combine their intellect and the various universes to solve pretty much any problem. Infinity gauntlets are plenty, and the idea was we have to affect quality, which is ironic because more people today believe about the ghost Olympics than the myth that inspired in the first place. When Stacy's affair with Norman Osborn, this was part of the SZN5 storyline that was written by J. Michael Straczynski and took place between issues 509 and 514 of the Amazing Spider-Man series in 2004, roughly 7 months before her death. Gwen had a secret affair with Norman Osborn, which she paid him, but somehow found that attractive. Like, why did that not work for me? And she secretly gave birth to twins as well. All of this was kept from Peter, and MJ only knew because she was sworn to secrecy. It only comes out because one of the twins, Gabriel, breaks onto the scene as a red doll. This is still one of the most hated Spider-Man storylines of all time, and every time anybody tried to justify it. For just $9.99, customize your order all you want with any crust and any toppings. Without this. Phoenix is now Thor's mom. During Jason Aaron's 2018 run of the Avengers, issue 42 to be exact, the Earth's mightiest heroes tried to capture the Phoenix Force. But once faced with it, Phoenix reveals to Thor's son and explains how human Earth had a fling a billion years before Christ was born, leading to Thor's conception. Yeah, bit of an odd. Sentry is the Void, and I am probably going to watch the explanation on this one, but the Sentry was a character who debuted in the year 2000, and it was established that he had existed while the Marvel Universe, but due to a cataclysmic event, all recollection of him was lost, whereas the Void is an entity of darkness and death, capable of destroying the entire universe, that bonds itself to the Sentry. We only exist because the Sentry is here, so our power is on the Sentry. On this Captain Bay, he became popular as an used a handful of times from the 2000s and 2010s, or it was just not him and his story needless and convoluted, so maybe I'm not the best guy for this one. Deadpool had the symbiote before Spider-Man. Despite not making his first appearance until the 90s, timeline-wise, Deadpool did host the symbiote just before Peter Parker. Deadpool's Secret Wars issue 3, and no, I didn't stunt it. We're introduced to the machine that gave us a symbiote and quite likes it at first, until he realises it can hear his thoughts, by proxy means that it can break the fourth wall. And it does just make you wonder how Marvel history would have changed if he gave Peter a heads up. Tony Stark's tumor. In issue 6 of the Ultimates, Tony Stark reveals to the newly assembled team that he has an inoperable brain tumor that's slowly killing him. However, he eventually grew to have his own consciousness, so Stark gave him the name Anthony. However, there was also an Infinity Gem in Stark's head, so when Pete Richards was trying to remove it, Anthony was lost in the process, which, considering it started as a tumor, that doesn't sound like much of a loss. Madcap in Deadpool's head. Madcap is a villain who first appeared in Captain America and loves to manipulate minds. Just before Secret Invasion, Madcap and Deadpool had a fight which caught the attention of Thor and caused the two to be electrocuted. Because Madcap was nowhere to be seen, everyone presumed that he was dead, but he lived on in Deadpool's head in the form of a suggestive white caption box until 2013 when the pair were finally split. Spider-Man Power Pack Anti-Child Abuse Special. This was released in September of 1984 and was produced for the National Committee for the Prevention of Child Abuse, who actually went on to produce 3 issues with Marvel, and each one looked at a different form of abuse. The issues were given out for free, and honestly I have no idea how to figure out if these were successful. Punisher became black. During an issue of Punisher's first ongoing run in the 80s, he was beaten violently whilst in prison, which caused his face to be disfigured. Using this to plot an escape, he visits a plastic surgeon who gets to work on Frank Castle and fixes his wounds, but also turns him black. The reveal at the end of issue 59 didn't last for long, but it would have been amazing if social media existed back in these days, just so that we could see the reaction. And honestly, I don't know what Frank could expect when he clearly went to the same plastic surgeon that they had at the beginning of Saints Row 2. Team 4, and we're just getting beneath the surface. So this is where I thought that a lot of these things might have been forgotten about over the years. And the theme here is going to be non-comic related Marvel media stuff. So we've got different types of movies, TV shows, maybe some video games that might have been really popular when they were first released. But time catches up with us all, and some of these have been forgotten along the way. And I can't lie, I think this team mostly turns into Sam Raimi stuff. Fantastic Four 2005 and 2007. Yeah, there's more of these. These 2 movies were directed by Tim Story and were part of the Fox distribution slate. Chris Evans, who is now more famous for playing Captain America in the MCU, starred as the Human Torch. Jessica Alba played Sue Storm. Ian Gruffudd must get major points for playing his own name in Scrabble, and Michael Chiklis played the Thing. The first movie, released on July 8th, 2005, made $333 million against a $100 million budget, which was enough to grant it a sequel, which came out on June 15th, 2007, subtitled The Rise of the Silver Surfer. However, this wasn't as successful, bringing in just over $300 million against $130 million budgets, and these are okay films, they're nothing special. I really like them growing up, and I just have nostalgia for them. But the Galactus Club is still dull. Ghost Rider movies. Two movies were released where Nicolas Cage played the Marvel character Johnny Blaze. The first was released in 2007 and made $228 million against a $110 million budget, which was enough to gain a sequel in 2012, subtitled The Spirit of Vengeance. I felt this one was quite enjoyable, but I haven't watched it since it was first released. But despite having a reduced budget, estimated to be around $75 million, it only managed to make about $182 million, and was the last entry in the franchise. But for some reason, when I think about these movies, I always remember that the first was being used to advertise the power of Blu-ray, and I still think they're worth watch, even if you just want a bit of a laugh. Activision Spider-Man games. If it wasn't for Insomniac, I'd be sitting here saying that some of these games that came out in the 2000s were the greatest Spider-Man games that we've ever played. And there's been so many Marvel-based games over the years, it could probably be its own video. We are going to touch on a few later on, but to speed things up, I've just lumped these all together. But I don't quite the license. The first release was the classic Spider-Man PS1 game from the year 2000, and the Connie John Chase at the end still haunts my nightmares. In turning Hulk's Pro Skater 2, Spy was also a playable character, which just seems like a mode of transport that Spider-Man would have bothered with. From there, the releases came thick and fast, including tie-ins for the movies and phenomenal Spider-Man 2, which defined how web swinging should feel. There's the criminally underrated Ultimate Spider-Man from 2005. The often judged too harshly Spider-Man Web of Shadows, and the forgotten fun rides like Shattered Dimensions and Edge of Time. Their final release, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, was planned quite heavily, but it did pave the way for Insomniac to really find the wall crawler. Marvel games of the 2000s. Yeah, I'm just bundling the rest of these together, and sure there have been Marvel games for nearly as long as video games have existed, but the 2000s had a variety of bangers, including Hulk Ultimate Destruction, X-Men Legends, and the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series. On top of that, you had a plethora of movie tie-ins, most of which were kind of awful, like the Fantastic Four and Iron Man games, but then there'd occasionally be a gem like X-Men Origins Wolverine. By the way, despite the varying levels of quality, games like these were part of my childhood, and integral to me connecting with Marvel Comics. The Spectacular Spider-Man. This one still hurts to talk about. Probably the best animated Spidey series, and the only able to it is a 90s one, and I'm kind of biased on that front because that series is the only reason why I got into comics in the first place. It was Spectacular ran for 2 seasons and 26 episodes in total between 2008 and 2009. It was originally planned to run for 5 seasons, but it was cancelled due to legal complications between Disney and Sony. Fan films. Over the years, there's been plenty of fan films centering around Marvel characters. The only one documented on IMDb is the Green Goblin's Last Stand from 1992, but there's been so many and through a variety of different heroes. My personal favourite is Punisher Dirty Laundry, which managed to get Thomas J back in the title role, and also had Ron Perlman, and recently there was controversial of making the news called Spider-Man Limitless. Initially this did raise a lot for crowdfunding, but then one thing after the other was revealed about people working on the project, so we might nobody cared about the movie anymore, and it released to a massive whimper. However, there's so many fan films, I'm half tempted to do a video class, sit down and watch some of these. The Punisher 2004. For as much crap as the 90s gave us, the 2000s really seemed to be the figuring itself out phase for Marvel movies. Take, for example, the Thomas Jane led version of The Punisher that also starred John Travolta. It was made on a budget of $33 million and only made back $57 million. And this may just be 11-year-old Marcus speaking, but this movie ain't that bad. Is it the greatest Punisher story ever told? No, but I still think it's highly watchable, and it's never any of his dollars in 2009 Punisher also. The Ramones Spider-Man theme song. In 1995, the one by the Ramones did a rendition of Spider-Man. Well, quite well for copyright reasons. However, the song resonated so well that the Ramones kept playing it as part of the gigs, and it has featured in promotional material for some of the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man Turn Off the Doll. This is the first thing I think of when anyone uses the word shit show. And there's only been countless great videos on this musical theatre production based on the wall crawling, but to much of this explanation, Tony Adams thought of basing the production on Spider-Man in 2002. The approach to was brought when the edge to do the lyrics, and he agreed because Andrew Lloyd Webber did a sort of back-ending comment about Ramones. Unlike the song being filled in origin, the first readings for the musical took place in 2007, and for context, all 3 of the Spider-Man movies had been released, and the time it took for this to get from idea to reading, but the musical was rife with delays and issues, including one of the stunt actors almost falling to his death, meaning that the budget continued to spiral until it was at roughly $70 million before opening night, which finally happened on June 14th, 2011. However, reviews for this weren't great, and the cost to bring it to stage on Broadway greatly outweighed ticket sales once the initial initial hype died down, Disney produced Marvel happened during this time, and even they didn't want to get involved. Cancelled Deadpool animated series. In 2017, a 10-episode animated series based on the Man with a Mouth was offered by TV station FXX. And despite the unexpected success of the Ryan Reynolds movies, he wanted to have distinct voice, and in the footage that was released on really promising. However, in March 2018, it was announced that the studio wouldn't move forward with the production due to creative differences, with rumors circulating that Donald Glover, who was one of the leads with the project, was too busy to work on it, but he denied this by sharing the finale script on his Twitter, so it's still not clear why this fell apart. The unreleased Fantastic Four movie from 1994, and at that time only 1 year old. Not that that adds anything, and this just highlights that before Blade, Marvel really didn't have much luck with the movies, but this one was made with a low budget of $1 million by German producers who specialised in low budget movies. However, despite announcing over a year, the release was halted suddenly, and it was later revealed that the movie was only put into production so that the company in charge could retain the rights to the Fantastic Four, and not have them default back to Marvel with a similar technique to what Fox had to do with the Judge Dredd movie. This 2015 documentary called Doom that chronicles the production, which I keep meaning to watch but I never do. But if you've seen any of the production images from this version of the Fantastic Four, it will make you grateful for Fox's last attempt. James Cameron's Spider-Man. Well, long story short, in the early 90s, James Cameron was offered to make a Spider-Man movie with a $50 million budget. DiCaprio was signed on to play Peter Parker, with Bill Paxton taking the villainous role of the Green Goblin. However, because the original contract was based on the same one used for Terminator 2, Cameron had way more power than was necessary, which caused arguments, complications, lawsuits. Eventually, the company acquired the rights to Carolco after declaring bankruptcy. This movie was also one of the factors that really pushed Marvel to go out of business. However, swelled into the script we used when certain pages and Sam Raimi took over. And as interesting as this may have sounded, I'm going to go against the grain and say, thank God this didn't happen. Think about it, from all the Marvel movies we spoke about from the 90s, the only good one was Blade. And the timeline is a bit murky, but what if this caused Cameron to lose focus on True Lies? What if his Spider-Man movie was as soulless as Avatar? And what if we had to have a trilogy of movies where Leonardo DiCaprio does his usual thing of just playing Leonardo DiCaprio? Setting the Japanese Toby Spider-Man, arguably the best Spider-Man, but then again, I'm a little bit biased towards anything Tokuatsu. In the 70s, Marvel licensed out their characters to Toei during a 3-year agreement that also meant that Marvel could use any of their characters, such as Super Sentai, in any way that they wanted to. Admittedly, not much came from this on Marvel's side, but Toei did produce what is now known as Japanese Spider-Man. A 41-episode series that was released in 1978, Spider-Man was known to Takuya Yamashiro rather than Peter Parker, and he wasn't exactly a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. He kills, uses a machine gun, and even has a giant mecha, which honestly sounds like an improvement. You owe it to yourself to watch a few episodes because it's an experience. Punisher 1989 always surprises me how many Punisher movies has been. And I even forgot also, this one was directed by Mark Goldblatt and starred Rookie Wolf Dolph Lundgren's Frank Castle, with a budget of $9 million, but only managing to gross $30 million. This other Punisher going up against the Yakuza was not received well. However, in the years since its release, it's gone a cult status. MTV Spider-Man, no matter what anyone says, no one's going to convince me that this wasn't a great show. And yeah, I haven't watched a single episode of this since I was 11. Released in 2003, this was originally intended to be a sequel to the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie, and also an adaptation of Ultimate Spider-Man, but that was later declared to not be canon either. In legendary How I Met Your Mother voice Peter Parker, and his subtitles on Hugo go up against villains such as the Let's Hit Electro and Green Hunter. It was entirely computer generated, which my child grade thought looked great at the time. It was cancelled after just one 13-episode series, despite having high ratings, because MTV felt it didn't fit in with the rest of the programming. And judging from their output today, I think that means it just was a ridiculousness. Marvel Anime 2010. This was a collaboration between Marvel Entertainment and Sony Pictures Entertainment Japan and a Japanese animation studio called Madhouse, responsible for acclaimed anime titles such as Death Note and Trigun and One Punch Man. Together, they produced full 12-episode animated series based on popular Marvel characters, Spider-Man, Wolverine, X-Men, Blade, and shout-out producer Blade when he couldn't choose Captain America, Spider-Man, Hulk, or any of the more popular characters. The stories take place in Canada, running between 2010 and 2012. Lauren Ellis helping with the writing, and I watched the one on Netflix, and I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed this. So regardless of which TV sales online, give this a go. Captain America's Secret Society. In 2014, for the third phase of the MCU, Marvel will impress conference where they announced the unexpected movies. It's a symbol that was spoken on really when the movies was announced. However, the first movie that finally announced was Captain America's Secret Society, and honestly, even the audience pretended that hype based on the title was just hilarious. It was only at the end of the event that finally revealed that the true title was going to be Captain America Civil War, with the main actors walking out on stage, and honestly, even nearly 10 years later, I love watching this video. Iron Man Armored Adventure, another animated series, but this one was a 3D CGI take on Tony Stark that ran for 2 seasons between 2009 and 2012. I never watched this as it was coming out, but all episodes are available on Disney Plus, and the premiere episode broke the Nicktoons network record for the most viewed original series, with an estimated 125,000 viewers. Given the time it was released, I reckon this is trying to ride that wave of popularity that would have been found after the Robert Downey Jr. movie. Phineas and Ferb Mission Marvel, Season 4, Episode 22, where the animated Disney show featured a crossover with a variety of different Marvel characters, including Spider-Man, Iron Man, Nick Fury, and more. Many voice actors who have previously worked on Marvel characters returned to voice against the mutants. Reviews for this seem good, but I've basically never seen this. I still have no idea what either of Phineas or Ferb is. The Superhero Squad show. This is an animated series based on the Marvel Superhero Squad toy series from Hasbro. It ran for 2 seasons between 2009 and 2011, and it was primarily aimed at a younger audience. A wide range of established Marvel characters featured throughout the show, including Captain Britain. Like, how often does that happen? And Tom Kenny was most famous for voicing SpongeBob, and lent his talents to big figures such as Iron Man and Captain America. Decapitating Captain America. It's not normal to have anything related to the MCU this low down on the list, especially the most successful movie in the franchise. But the final battle against Thanos only has a cornucopia of memorable moments. Yet there was one thing that was left out that I think would have drastically killed both the Root and also Steve Rogers. Wanting the mad time-traveling Titan to have a big moment when he confronted the Avengers in the modern day. Thanos was originally going to walk through a portal with the decapitated head of Captain America that defeated the respective heroes. And I hope you guys appreciate me avoiding jokes about decapitation, because even I tried to avoid some of the low-hanging fruit. So some brothers went back and forth on this idea for some time, with some versions of the square confirmed that this was an alternate canon, and some thinking that this was the main universe one. However, I think we can agree that him wielding Mjolnir is a much better moment anyway. The Inhumans movie in 2014 at the Phase 3 announcement conference for the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a movie based on the Inhumans was announced, which was scheduled to be released in November 2018. Alternate properties were revealed on